Where will we raise the money to ensure that we feed over 12 million Kenyans who depend directly on agriculture to be supplied to the urban areas? I don't know, this statement by Senator Kaniri is beautiful. It's a very nice statement, but it must move beyond the question of just raising the statement. And I saw the last part of it is challenging the Agriculture Committee to do a proper inquiry. The question we need to ask ourselves as a House is that we've been telling the various committees to come with reports of various things they are doing. Do these committees only operate when we raise statements, or they act suo moto by their own initiative to ensure that they take up such challenges? For example, the question Kenyans will be asking ourselves, what will Kenya be like beyond COVID, and what is food security going to be like in this country in this period of COVID and after? And I think the committee, by its own motion, without being pushed all the time with statements, should be able to look up to this issue and bring a comprehensive report to this House. We have a minister, Madam Speaker, who on one hand tells Kenyans, we will ensure food security is achieved. On another, he was quarreling with his own governor in Meru yesterday or 2 days ago about this function being devolved. So this passing of the buck between national and county government, you give a function to the counties and say agriculture is devolved, but you give them little money to carry out that very important function of devolved functions. And lastly, when the formula for sharing resources will be brought to this House, one of the things that CRA did in the draft formula before we passed in this House was to categorize certain important sectors that must be funded, and agriculture is one of them. We must scrutinize in this House. We must be able to save certain percentage of these resources to go to agriculture, but must also go for the right interventions in the areas that we require to ensure that there is food security in this country. Once again, congratulations, Senator Kaniri, and I think a committee should be able to do what it ought to do.
Thank you, Senator. I will use my discretion to give Senator Sakaja 1 minute and Senator Wambua 1 minute. And I want to warn you that we have another statement that is very, very similar from Senator Gerard Gay on a statement that was made by Chair of Agriculture last week. So you may want to actually take the shortest time possible and revisit some of your issues because it touches on food security. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, there's nothing useful I can say in 1 minute. So I ask you to either give me more time or allow me to speak in the other statement.
I will allow you to speak when it comes to
1 minute,
the statement from Gerard Gay, if you cannot take 1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute has gone already.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker, you know, the point I wanted to make, which I will still make, is this assumption that when you bring a statement on agriculture, Nairobi should not speak. There is a lot of agriculture in Nairobi. Madam Speaker, the population of Nairobi is doing agriculture in Embakasi North, in Dagoretti South, Udhiru, Rudhimitu, Waithaka, in Njiru, in Ruai, is bigger than the population of some counties. So I insist that, Madam Speaker, you give me time to speak about agriculture, because food security is the entire value chain, including markets. So kindly guide whether I speak now or later. But I need to speak on agriculture, Madam Speaker.
Senator Sakaja, the statement that was given was under 47.1. It was a statement on food security. The statement that is coming is on agriculture. You may find it better to speak on the second statement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I'll give you better time on agriculture because it's coming. It's number 3 in the order.
Madam Speaker, I am guided.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Wambua,
you are very
would you
good.
like to prosecute yours now or come back when we go to agriculture?
Madam Speaker, I can use the 2 minutes from Sakaja plus my 1 minute. Then I'll do 3 minutes, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, no, you did not. Madam Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity. Madam Speaker, this is a very important statement. It is important, Madam Speaker, because the issue of food security, if not properly handled, can very easily, Madam Speaker, degenerate into civil strife. Madam Speaker, I am reminded that when the Jubilee administration came into office, and Senator Sakaja may want to listen to this, Madam Speaker. When the Jubilee administration came into office in 2013, one of the major promises that they made was that they were going to irrigate 1 million acres of land at Kulalu Galana. Madam Speaker, that project was launched. The expectation was that 500,000 acres of land was going to be put under maize. 200,000 acres of land was going to be put under sugarcane, and 150,000 acres would be distributed to livestock, fish farming, and the like. Madam Speaker, it is very disheartening today to note that that project has collapsed. Madam Speaker, one of the most important things that governments across the world do is to ensure they are able to feed their citizens. A government that is unable to feed its citizens, Madam Speaker, loses the legitimacy to even govern. And so, Madam Speaker, taking out from where my colleagues have left on what really needs to be done, and I'm very sure that the committee to which this statement will be submitted will look into the issues of irrigation schemes for food crops, Madam Speaker, because in most cases, the irrigation schemes that we have in this country are for cash crops. It's important to do mass irrigation schemes for food crops. Land reclamation, Madam Speaker. And there is a lot of arable land in this country that is lying idle. That if the government was to put money in irrigating those pieces of land, then we would have sufficient food to feed our country and export the surplus. Madam Speaker, it is very painful to note that we are importing basic foods, importing oranges from South Africa, importing eggs from Uganda. And yet, Madam Speaker, there is sufficient capacity in this country to produce enough fruits, enough food crop to feed our people. Madam Speaker, I thank my colleague, my friend, Senator Aniri, for bringing this statement. And Madam Speaker, I support the statement. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Senators, I would like to use my discretion to bring the statement from Senator Cherargei now so that we have a continuation of debate on the food security. That is, his statement is under Standing Order 48.1. Senator Haniri, I will not rush to refer your statement now until we finish with Senator Cherargei so that we deal with both. Senator Cherargei.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. Request for statement on the recent directive by the Ministry of Agriculture from the Standing Committee on Agriculture and Livestock concerning the recent directive by the ministry that we will no longer purchase maize from our local farmers. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the circumstances that led to the Ministry of Agriculture decision to stop purchasing maize from local farmers without considering the fate of our farmers who depend entirely on the government for markets. 2, explain why the ministry declares the country food insecure every year, yet it has no elaborate plans to enable the country to be food secure. Instead, it keeps suppressing its farmers. And it has to be noted, Madam Speaker, that the government has intention of importing 4 million bags of maize during this period. 3rd, state why the Ministry of Agriculture is currently importing 4 million bags, that is 2 million bags white and 2 million bags yellow maize, at much higher price than that of local farmers. Yet they are saying they will no longer buy maize from local farmers. 4th and final, Madam Speaker, explain why the ministry has failed to cushion farmers during this pandemic COVID-19 period, especially on fertilizers and other farm inputs, since the farmers also were seriously affected economically like any other Kenyans. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. I'll give the first chance to Senator Sakaja.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you're very wise. allow me to thank both my big brother, Senator Kaniri, for that statement, as well as my small brother, Senator Cherargei. Madam Speaker, the point I was making earlier and what I intend to just focus on is the following facts. Number one, Madam Speaker, the perception or the idea that agriculture does not take place in Nairobi is a fallacy. There is both urban and also rural agriculture. Many parts of Nairobi, Madam Speaker, are actually rural. If you go to Dagoretti South, Madam Speaker, Udhiru, Rudhimitu, Waithaka, in fact, the entire constituency, just apart from Ngando, is agricultural. If you go to Ruai and Jiru in Kasarani constituency, even part of Westlands, parts of Roysambu, there's a lot of agriculture, rural, that is going on. Madam Speaker, on top of that, every year, because we had this debate when we were discussing the formula for allocation of resources, and Nairobi was given 0 on account of agriculture. Every year, Nairobi County staff do more than 15,000 extension service visits. Yet that only satisfies 10% of the demand because of poor funding. Madam Speaker, if we're talking about agriculture, and I like, Senator Cherargei is talking about, agribusiness, selling it. The biggest food market locally in this country is Nairobi. A lot of what we're growing in every county comes to Nairobi, apart from what might be exported. So, Madam Speaker, number one, I just want to debunk that idea and that fallacy that Nairobi is not agricultural. I have farmers in this county, Madam Speaker, in less than 1 acre, who are producing more than 2,800 liters of milk a day in Nairobi County. It is the best, actually, over years, the best production of milk and even meat is Nairobi. So I hope even when the CRA listens, because I told them, you cannot score Nairobi 0 in terms of agriculture. Number two, Madam Speaker, every agricultural product needs a market. When we talk about livestock, Senator Argura will tell you, there's a big community of Senator Argura in Kiamaiko. Very big. Dagoretti market. The abattoirs, the slaughterhouses. Madam Speaker, from Kajiado, from Rongai, from Northeastern, come to Nairobi. So when you don't score Nairobi or you don't consider Nairobi agricultural, Madam Speaker, then you're not working on the whole value chain of what agriculture is, Madam Speaker. Thirdly, Madam Speaker, we must talk about storage. If a small investment is made in Nairobi, Madam Speaker, we will save more than 80% of post-harvest losses by dry and cold storage in Nairobi, Madam Speaker. So the point I want to really emphasize, and I hope senators can hear me, because we're going to still have the discussion on Kara and on the formula, that for agriculture to work in Nandi, in Nakuru, in Kikuyu, you need Nairobi also to have agriculture as a serious function, funded properly and working, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, today we have containment. We have blocked off Isili. We have Kiambio slums. We have many slums around Isili that cannot now even get, people cannot be fed, cannot get anything to eat because of what is happening in Isili. So let us look at food security kindly, end to end, from the, in fact, in other countries they say from the farm to the fork. I'm saying from the farm to the market, as Nairobi plays a key role. Let the people in Nairobi engaging in agriculture, because as I've said, the population in those places I've mentioned doing agriculture is larger than the population, for example, in many counties. Let me not mention counties, because senators will think I'm targeting their counties. It's larger by far. Let us support them. Madam Speaker, I remember in 2009, 2010, when His Excellency the President was Minister of Finance, and we were doing financial inclusion for the informal sector, part of it was, Madam Speaker, urban farming. If you go to Mathare today, along the river, Madam Speaker, there's pig farming going on. A lot of the greens even you take in your house, Madam Speaker, even what we eat here in this bunge, is from Nairobi. It's not from those places. So, Madam Speaker, let us think about it holistically. the CS Treasury came and I told him, or the CS Agriculture, I told him that when you've stopped transport in and out of Nairobi, and you say food can come in, but you assume that food comes in a green truck written food. Madam Speaker, you're wrong. I have market ladies from Kikuyu, from Ukambani, from Tala, from Kangundo, who come in a matatu with a few cabbages, with a few chicken. They don't come in a food truck. When you stop that, the cost of food now has gone up in Nairobi. People cannot feed themselves. It is very urgent, Madam Speaker. So I hope these two statements are taken seriously and immediately so as to get some resolution, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I'll give to Senator Langat. And while Langat is speaking, Senator Matzayo, please come forward from the extension. Senator Matzayo should start coming.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for also giving me this opportunity to make a comment on this. I want to begin by saying it's quite unfortunate that the government is not ready, the Ministry of Agriculture is not ready to purchase maize and other food crops from the farmers during this particular period of time, when where you come from and where I come from, Madam Speaker, is expecting a heavy harvest this year. It's very fortunate that this year when you go to areas in Rift Valley like Narok, Uasin Gishu, Bomet and Kericho, there is a lot of hope that there will be a heavy harvest in the maize sector. So when the farmers get to understand that this particular time the government is not ready to purchase food from this particular maize from them, it is actually like adding an injury to an insult. You remember some years back when maize farmers in Kitale and some parts of Rift Valley, Madam Speaker, when they were so disappointed to the point that they were even pouring a lot of maize in the roads. So this time I want to say, Madam Speaker, we must take these ones very seriously because we are expecting heavy harvest this time because rainfall was very promising. And I want to say we are still experiencing a lot of food insecurity in this country. We have seen even where I come from and other places where there is a lot of shortage of food due to disasters such as floods. And it's quite even unfortunate to mention that even the distribution of food in this country is skewed. We sometimes hear the government distributing maize or food in some areas where some of us come from and the people are experiencing, for example, in the lower parts of Bomet, which is a semi-desert, people are experiencing a lot of food shortages. Yet, Madam Speaker, we have not seen even a kilogram of maize being distributed to those particular areas. So we still need to question the criteria through which the government is using to distribute food in this country. I was asking last week the county commissioner from Bomet if he is aware of the food shortages from some areas in Bomet. And he was telling me he has even written an emergency letter to the ministry concerned, and nothing has happened up to this time. So whenever we hear food distributed in some areas, we really wonder so loud which particular criteria is being used in this country to distribute food to some areas and some other parts are not being considered. So I want to also mention very well, you and I, we were in that particular ad hoc committee, which we were investigating issues to do with maize. And in fact, we are headed to that particular direction, that the country is importing a lot of maize at this particular time to the tune of 4 million from outside, when even farmers in Uasin Gishu right now have got a lot of maize and they are wondering where to sell to. We are headed back to that part. In fact, sooner or later we shall form another ad hoc committee to investigate on the same. So I want to say we must take this one very seriously, Madam Speaker. Farmers all over are not cushioned. Fertilizers, the farmers are left to buy the farm inputs, the fertilizers and the rest from very expensively from various sellers. In fact, agriculture is not being taken seriously in this country, Madam Speaker, and even though it is a devolved function of the government, we still question a lot of things that even this particular default function has not been followed very well with the finance. So, Madam Speaker, this one, we must take it seriously. The food security in this country, the cushioning of the farmers, and the importation of maize at this particular time when we have got a lot of maize in our country, that it could have been an opportunity for farmers to benefit from this particular instead of this importation, Madam Speaker. So we must take this one seriously to help our farmers. I want to thank Senator Cherargei for bringing this one seriously at this particular time. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Mazzayo.
Pia mimi ningependelea kuchangia na kusema kwamba nakubaliana 100% ya kwamba kilimo ndio uti wa mgongo, na kumshukuru ndugu yangu Seneta Khaniri kwa kuleta hii statement hapa, na ndugu yangu Cherargei. Speaker, itakuwa ni jambo la aibu sana kuona kwamba mwaka nenda mwaka rudi, Speaker, nchi yetu inakumbwa na janga la njaa. Kila siku, kila uchao, tukilala, tukiamka, tunaitisha chakula kutoka nje. Na hali nchi yetu, Speaker, inajulikana ya kwamba ni, na tunavyoelewa ni kwamba ni ukweli kabisa nchi yetu ni nchi ya ukulima, walakini serikali ni lazima kuona ya kwamba wakulima wetu katika Kenya wamekuwa wa kwanza wakati wakipata mazao yao waweze kuyachukua na kuyaweka katika magala. Pia vile waweze kuona ya kwamba wameweza kusaidia wakulima kwa njia mbalimbali ili kuweza kufaulu katika hiyo biashara yao na mazao yao. Speaker, tukiangalia mara nyingi watu wamekuwa wakisema kwamba mahindi yanayotoka Mexico, yanayotoka Brazil, ya rangi ya njano, ya rangi nyeupe, inabidi tuyalete. Mengine yanaambiwa pia yako na ugonjwa. Sasa ni kwa wakati gani ambapo serikali yetu itaajibika kuona ya kwamba ule mkulima anayelima either mahindi ama na majani chai ama kahawa ama kwa njia zozote vile anafanya juhudi zake za ukulima kuona ya kwamba yale mazao yake yatampatia faida. Wengine kama sisi, Speaker, tumeweza kuelimishwa na mazao ya shamba. Tunaona ya kwamba mazao ya shamba kwa wakati huu hivi sasa imekuwa ni ufisadi mtupu unaoendelea. Magala yetu ambayo yako katika NCPB yote katika Kenya hivi sasa hayana kitu, na ni kwamba ndio tunapata tabu ya kwamba hata serikali ikijaribu, haswa wakati huu wa janga hili la COVID, ambapo inajaribu kupeana chakula ili pengine kwa wale watu ambao hawajiwezi ama hawawezi kutoka majumbani. Tunaona maeneo fulani ambayo yamezingirwa, yakaambiwa kwamba hakuna ruhusa ya kutoka, kama mahali kama Old Town. Kuna wazee, kuna vijana, watu wanalalamika, na ni kwamba wanataka kupata nafasi ya kuweza kujiangalia katika maisha yao. Speaker, utakubaliana na mimi kuona ya kwamba katika hata ugavi wa chakula kama hichi ambacho pia hakitoshi, kuna ufisadi ndani. Hivi sasa pesa zimepatikana nyingi sana ili kuweza kusaidia Kenya kununua chakula na kuona ya kwamba pia wananchi wamewahi kuishi vyema. Lakini utasikia hii pesa inaokuja, hata kama ni ile janga la COVID, pia ndani pia kuna ufisadi, watu wanaiba. Serikali lazima ijukumike kuona ya kwamba imechukua hatua mwafaka. Hawa watu wanaofanya vitendo vya ufisadi wameshikiliwa na wamehukumiwa ama wamepelekwa kotini ili waweze kujitetea katika masuala kama haya. Mr. Speaker, mimi natoka katika eneo la Kilifi County. Lakini utaona katika Kilifi County, Mr. Speaker, tunategemea uchumi wetu katika mazao ya shamba. Eneo kama Magarini. Magarini inajulikana sana kwa maembe matamu kupita mahali popote, Magarini na Malindi katika Kenya yetu. Na pia vile vile eneo bunge la Magarini liko na mananasi. Mananasi yake ni matamu zaidi. Lakini utakuja kuona wale wakulima wanaolima mananasi, wanaolima maembe, hakuna msaada wa aina yoyote unatoka kwa serikali kwenda kwa wakulima hawa. Sisi tunasema ya kwamba ingekuwa vyema watu kama wale wakulima Magarini wanaweza kulima hususan mananasi, maembe ama bidhaa zozote zinazotoka katika shamba, waweze kupata msaada wa kutosha wa kujikimu na vile vile kuweza kujilisha na kusaidia watu. Mr. Speaker, la kusikitisha zaidi ni kwamba katika eneo la Kilifi, la Kilifi County na Tana River County tulibarikiwa na kuwa na Galana Kulalu. Leo ni jambo la aibu kuona ya kwamba ufisadi uliingia ndani ya Galana Kulalu, hali tunatumaini ya kwamba rais mwenyewe walipoanzisha serikali walikuwa na matumaini makuu ya kwamba Kenya hakutakuwa na njaa tena. Leo angalie Galana Kulalu iko wapi? Wameiua kwa sababu ya ufisadi. Na ufisadi huu ni kwamba Galana Kulalu ichukua ekari kubwa sana. Dunia mzima walikuwa wamechukua hao katika eneo la Kilifi na ingine ikaingia eneo la Tana River. Lakini utaona ya kwamba, Mr. Speaker,
Senator, please know that the report will come back here because this is under 48.1. So let's be brief.
Asante, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, kumalizia tu ni kwamba tunasema ya kwamba ufisadi ndani ya mazao kama vile walivyotangulia kusema katika statement ya Khaniri na statement ya ndugu yangu Cherargei, ni kwamba lazima tukabiliane nao wakati huu mgumu, na vile vile kuona ya kwamba mazao wakulima wamepata faida katika mazao yao. Asante, Mr. Speaker.
Asante sana. Senator Murkomen, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As a matter of fact, I first want to congratulate Senator Cherargei for coming with this statement. And as I said earlier, he beat me to this statement because once I drafted and presented to the Speaker's office, I was told there was a similar statement by Senator Cherargei, and who is a very brilliant advocate, and whom I have a lot of past engagement. I don't want to go into that now. Madam Speaker, I think this is a seeking for statement. So for us, it's just to ride on it to get supplementary questions that we need to get. And it is, when I heard the Cabinet Secretary that they are not going to buy maize from the farmers for strategic food reserve, I was shocked. And Madam Speaker, in seeking this statement by Senator Cherargei, I would like to know from the Cabinet Secretary the policy paper that informed the decision to stop buying maize from farmers. Because farmers in Trans Nzoia, Bungoma, Uasin Gishu, Elgeyo Marakwet, Nandi, West Pokot, Nakuru, Narok, Mr. Speaker, most parts of Kericho, where a lot of maize has been produced to protect this country. There was a reason why in the governments of President Kenyatta, President Moi, President Mwai Kibaki, that it was necessary, Mr. Speaker, to be buying maize from farmers and protect and safeguard the farmers, but at the same time, food security of the country. Suddenly, not in the first term of Jubilee, in the second term of Jubilee administration, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, and particularly somewhere between 2019 and now, there has been something strange that I will be forgiven to imagine. There is a strategic attack of persons and farmers who come from certain places in this country and certain counties, Mr. Speaker, which, Mr. Speaker, I think it goes beyond just government policy. It is political. And we need to call it what it is. There has been certain cabinet secretaries who have been behaving in a manner like you have to punish citizens to settle political scores with government officials whom they work together. And this issue of stopping purchase of maize from farmers is more than government policy. It is politics. And you know that for us who come from the North Rift, we have already suffered enough, Madam Speaker, in the internal fights within Jubilee over their own political issues. I have always said and insisted, if people have their own fights about 2022, they should leave our farmers alone. And they should leave our citizens in that area alone and deal with each other mundu kumundu like politicians. That is really what we have to call it what it is.
Senator Murkomen, we don't want you to answer for the committee.
No, but you see, Madam Speaker.
The committee, and you had rightfully said that you are supposed to be giving supplementary questions for statement that has come from 48-1. It is still going to be laid to the committee. We have raised questions, and I think the committee will be able to deal with it. But don't answer for them.
Madam
Because
Speaker.
they will bring the report here for our debate. It was very unfortunate that most people did not debate last week the same the answer that brought this issue, but we are very grateful that it has been picked. But please, let's not guide the committee on the answers.
Madam Speaker, I'm glad you acknowledge that my submissions are answers, which means you don't disagree with what I'm saying. The only thing I wanted to say is that it's important because I'll not be sitting in the committee when those questions are being submitted. And it's important for the chair of the committee and the members to ask why farmers from that area are being targeted. Is it political? Is there a policy framework? Why is it systematic? That really will answer my question. These are the things about, because these things are done in hard dog manner. You will still remember in your committee, some farmers up to now have not been paid. You still remember that those farmers have been profiled. Those farmers were not paid because they were said it's linked to a certain person. And then corruption was used as an excuse. Why target one group, one area, one community for purpose of settling your political scores? The last thing I want to say is to agree with Senator Sakaja that, Madam Speaker, Nairobi, Senator Sakaja, you will want to hear this. Nairobi is one of the leading agriculture counties. And when I read some literature, I was shocked. But I was even more shocked when I had a conversation with the president sometime 3 years ago. And he told me that he had gone to see a farmer in Karen who is the leading milk producer in the country. And I got some greater interest in trying to find out who he was. And I found out that it is indeed true that Nairobi has the leading milk producer in the country. And so we shouldn't leave Nairobi out of the conversation about farming. But I want to challenge Senator Sakaja. Already your county has the potential to raise a lot of revenue. because although most of us come from various counties, most of us live here and we pay a lot of taxes here. I saw the military government of Nairobi was asking for 27 billion for this financial year. So Sakaja, you need to find a way of engaging the military to see how they can allocate more to farmers. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
He has already finished, so no point of order. Senator Susan Giga.
He has escaped because I really wanted to challenge
He escaped
what he has
because
said.
he finished.
Madam Speaker, if you allow me. He's been saved by the bell. But
Yeah,
I will be back, just like he said.
Stopped. You will deal with it later. Can we have Senator Susan Giga, please?
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. I also rise to support and congratulate Senator Cherarke for this very important statement that he has brought to the House. As a senator of Nakuru, we are also big in farming. Like that is one of the major things that we do down there, in case there are some here who have not visited or are not very familiar with that county. And when we hear such things as a directive that the government will not be buying maize from farmers, but instead will be importing 4 million bags of maize, it's actually shocking. And what I would also like to bring out as the committee goes ahead to do the good job of getting to the bottom of this is really, I would want to know why and what would inform such a crazy decision, if I may call it that. One, we are a country whose, one of the big 4 agendas, if that still exists, is food security. And when we have farmers who have, all they do all year long is cultivate their farms and grow this maize, by then we have a directive where they are not going to be buying the maize from the farmers, which really, just common sense, it would be such a win-win for the farmers, because then they are able to get some money from having farmed the year round, but also for the government, because then it would have the maize, it would be able, this maize would go towards food security. So when you have such a decision, then it's important for us to understand what really would inform such a decision. 4 million bags of maize, when they have not mopped up the maize in the country, then surely, there is either somebody at the, whoever is making this decision, be it at the CS level, at the cabinet level, I'm not sure at what level it's made, but it seems like a stupid decision.
Senator Kika, please check the language. Check the language you are using.
What's wrong with stupid?
We want to make sure that we are all on parliamentary language. But make your point.
It doesn't seem to make sense. Is that better? Okay. It's just a decision that seems immoral, if you ask me. And if that's a problem, I don't know what word to use, because that's what I mean. It seems like a decision, really. It's one of those things that you cut off your nose to spite your face. Because when you have farmers with maize rotting in their farms, but the government is proceeding to buy maize from outside the country, either now we are completely just acknowledging and accepting corruption, because what else could this really be? Or, in the alternative, we are punishing some people from some areas, because we all know where maize grows in this country. But we may not want to acknowledge that, but I hope that for once, this committee can get to the bottom of really what is this that is going on, so that we can save our farmers, because agriculture, farming, is one of the biggest pillars in this country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I think I don't see any other requests on that one. So, sorry, I have Senator Omogeni.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I first want to join my colleagues in thanking the Chair of Legal and Justice Affairs Committee, Senator Cherarke, for raising this very important question on agriculture. Madam Speaker, we all know that there is this slogan that says that agriculture is the backbone of our economy. And I think the statistics indicate that about 35% of our GDP is actually on agriculture. So agriculture plays a very important key role in sustaining our economy. That cannot be gainsaid. And I think, Madam Speaker, the policies of our good government should not just look at economic success, but we also want to give happiness to the farmer. I will not be very quick in condemning my good friend, the Minister for Agriculture, because I don't know what informed his decision of saying that the government will not buy maize from farmers. But whatever policy that we come up with as a government must be geared in ensuring that we make our farmers happy. And at times, Madam Speaker, under this new constitution, under this new government, and I hope Senator Cherage is listening, at times, you know, banging tables and saying you will cause hell may not take us very far. But sitting down and engaging government can achieve a lot for the people you represent. For the past 2 weeks, Madam Speaker, I've had serious engagements with the Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Munya, on issues dealing with tea. Because farmers from Nyamira have had a lot of suffering, even as they engage in tea farming, including the...
What's your point of order, Senator Cherage?
Is it in order for my good learned senior Senator Okongo Mugeni saying that this way of engaging the government is let's say, is wrong, rather than having tea and mandazi in the office of overseers? Is this a wrong way to do?
Point of order, Murkomen.
Mr. Speaker, is it in order for Senator of Nyamira, Madam Speaker, to try and demean this House? Demean this House that this is not the right way to engage a cabinet secretary, and instead we should go have a one-on-one with the cabinet secretary. When indeed, Mr. Speaker, we were elected to use this House, Madam Speaker, to address the concerns that we have. And more importantly, can the Senator of Nyamira disclose his relationship with the cabinet secretary, both as his client and as his classmate, so that he cannot advise Cherage to take advantage of what he cannot get?
Okay, can the Senator of Nyamira clarify?
Yes.
I didn't hear him talk about
just
Mandasi
like,
and Chai, though.
Just like my good friend Senator Murkomen and Senator Cherage, my colleagues in the legal profession, the CS for Agriculture, Honorable Munya, is a colleague in the legal profession. So we enjoy the same relationship with my colleagues. And
He is responding to a point of order. Please allow him to finish.
Yes, so Madam Speaker, these engagements from the leaders of Nyamira with the CS Agriculture has culminated in some regulations that have been gazetted by the Minister of Agriculture, where we are going to have a very democratic process of picking the leaders for tea farmers. We are going to have a good marketing system for our tea. We are going to have registration clerks in our tea collection centers, which will reduce the suffering that the farmers have been facing, whereby they have been waiting at tea buying centers for the KTDA to collect their tea for several hours. So, Madam Speaker, the point I'm making is that cabinet secretaries are there to serve people. When you walk into an office of a cabinet secretary, you don't need to go and take tea and mandazi. You go to an office that is sustained by taxpayers to advocate and pursue policies that should be helpful to your people. So in as much as we also want to use this forum, I want to emphasize that we should never create the impression that cabinet secretaries are not there to receive agitation and complaints from our people. Those are public offices, and they must be open to all of us. But over and above that, Madam Speaker, I also want to see our government being innovative. Madam Speaker, last November, we traveled with the Chair of Health, to the US on an exchange program on agriculture. And I was impressed to see the way the American people have embraced technology in farming. We went to a family farm in Virginia, which was being managed by a fourth generation from that family. And all that they have been doing for a living has been agriculture. So let's also encourage our people to embrace the idea that agriculture can be a good source of income. You don't need to look at white-collar jobs only. You have heard there is a farmer in Karen. He had a choice of selling that land to real estate, like what has happened in Kiambu. All the former coffee farms are now estates. Runda used to be a coffee farm. But he has chosen to ensure that he is the largest milk supplier. And I think that's what the government should be doing, encouraging those who are engaged in farming to continue doing farming. In Nyamira, Madam Speaker, the average land per farmer is about 0.2% hectare. But we are among the largest producers of bananas in this country. Year in, year out, lorries will drive from Kisii, from Nyamira, bringing bananas to Nairobi. And we want to support the farmers who was in Gishu. We know you are the largest producers of maize. And Madam Speaker, food security is very important. It's very key to this country. So I hope that the Committee of Agriculture that will be given the opportunity to consider the issues, the very important issues that have been raised by Senator Cherargei, will come up with solutions that can help our farmers. I assure you, Madam Speaker, nobody is safe. If a country does not have food security, nobody is safe. All of us are not safe. So this is a very important issue, Madam Speaker, and I hope that as the committee looks into it, we will also have an opportunity of summoning the CS so that he can appear before us as the people's representatives and explain himself. With those remarks, I support, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. I think we end it there because we still have a statement, and remember we skipped the papers earlier. So with those very many good remarks, I would now like to direct that the statement, the statement automatically stands committed to the Committee of Agriculture. Any member from the Committee of Agriculture here? Any member? Any member? We want to negotiate on time, that we need an answer as soon as possible. And hopefully we should have that within the shortest time possible. And don't forget, who is going to do that? The leader of, I can't see a member. Who are we talking to? In absence of a member of agriculture, the majority will go with that. So leader of majority, please direct that to the committee that would like to get an answer as soon as possible. And please let them fish also from contributions that were made earlier under the statement for 7.1 from Senator Haniri, because it will really enrich their discussions. Honorable Senators, we now go to the last statement, which is the statement by Senator Enoch Mambua. The apologies from Senator Moses Wetangula and Senator Anwar Oloitiptip. Yes, Senator Cherargei.
With your kind permission, you had approved my two statements.
Yes.
So I was requesting after Senator Wambua.
We are back to the order paper. Remember, we gave you special consideration because of the link between your statement and Senator Haniri. But on the order paper, we have statement number 3.
But Madam Speaker, I was requesting for your indulgence. After Senator Wambua, I can read my statement, kindly.
Okay, let's look. I'll make the decision as the time is coming, because we have two papers that must be laid. Yes, Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the request for statement, and Madam Speaker, I'm seeing the chairman for the Education Committee retreating from the chamber. This statement is going to his committee, actually. So the request for statement on the welfare and emoluments of 103 teachers deployed to serve as deputy principals in various schools in Kitui County since the year 2016. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 48.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education concerning the welfare and emoluments of 103 teachers deployed to serve as deputy principals in various schools in Kitui County since 2016 to date. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain why the said teachers have not been confirmed as deputy principals 4 years after their deployment and in line with a collective bargain agreement entered with the employer, who is the Teachers Service Commission. 2, state when the affected teachers will be confirmed as deputy principals. 3, state why the salaries of the affected teachers have never been adjusted to that of their current positions as deputy ed teachers. 4, explain why the said teachers have not been paid their special duty allowances for the last 4 years following their deployment as deputy principals, and further state when the allowances will be paid in full. And lastly, 5, confirm that the affected teachers will not be disenfranchised from promotion to full principals when vacancies arise owing to their current wars, as they have already satisfied the minimum requirement of 3 years of service in their deployment positions to be eligible for promotion. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Musuruve.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support this statement by Senator Wambua. And indeed, Honorable Speaker, teachers play a salient role in the life of children from early years all the way to primary, secondary, and all that. And their role and the role they play in the life of a child need actually to be acknowledged, and they need to be promoted. Honorable Speaker, I want to tell this House that when I was a teacher with the TSC, it was an incentive that if you went for more learning, or if you added to your profession, you'd be promoted. And this really made very many teachers go back to read, get their degrees, those who did not have, get their masters and all that. But it is unfortunate that this time round the TSC is insensitive to teachers, and there's need for these head teachers to be promoted. Honorable Speaker, I want to tell this House that the TSC is really relaxed in terms of incentivizing teachers, in terms of responding even to issues that come to this House regarding teachers. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, before this House, there is even information that went to the TSC concerning also a principal, a deputy principal with disabilities who was supposed to be, who was later to be retired next month. And according to the policy, PWDs are supposed to retire at 65. We have written to the TSC. TSC has not responded. There's need for the TSC to take issues of teachers seriously because of the important role that teachers play in this country. Honorable Speaker, it is important also for this House to know that we would not be where we are if it were not for the efforts that teachers did. So TSC needs to really position itself in such a way that it is honoring the role that teachers are playing, and it is not also disrespecting teachers in any way. In any case, when we are talking about issues of promotion, even in Western, I know of teachers who are supposed to be promoted, they are not promoted. They went for their first degrees and they're still teaching in primary schools. Their salaries have not also been increased. It is really, really wrong for an employer not to acknowledge the efforts of an employee. So there's need for the TSC to do something and ensure that these teachers, these principals are promoted, and also even the PWD deputy principal I've been talking about, even through the Labor Committee. My chair, Senator Sakaja, is aware of this. The TSC needs to respond. It is really unfair for the TSC not to listen to the senators, because we are representing everybody in this country. We are representing teachers, we are representing workers, and there's need for fairness even for workers as they do their work in this republic. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Yes, Senator Fagi.
Asante Madam Speaker kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia ombi la taarifa kutoka kwa Senator Kitui, Senator Wambua. Mheshimiwa Speaker, masuala ya elimu ni masuala ambayo ni muhimu sana kwa vijana wetu ambao wanasoma. Na ni jambo la kusikitisha kwamba Teacher Service Commission imezembea katika kulipa marupurupu ya walimu ambao wamepandishwa vyeo kuwa naibu wa walimu wakuu. Mheshimiwa Speaker, tunaona kwamba katika shule nyingi za sehemu za mashambani kama vile Kitui na kwingineko, wanafunzi hawafanyi vizuri katika mitihani yao kwa sababu walimu hawana motisha ya kuweza kusomesha, kuhakikisha kwamba wanapata marupurupu yao mapema ili waweze kuwa na hamu ya kuweza kufundisha wanafunzi. Kwa sababu hiyo utapata kwamba shule nyingi ambazo ziko katika maeneo ya mashambani zimesahaulika kivifaa, zimefaulika kiwalimu, na zimesahaulika pia katika kufanya mitihani na kuleta matokeo bora katika mitihani hiyo. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Speaker, taarifa hii imeletwa katika wakati mwafaka kwa sababu swala hili haliko Kitui peke yake. Liko katika sehemu nyingi ambazo walimu kama hawa wameweza kupewa promotion, kupewa vyeo zaidi, lakini pesa hazijaweza kulipwa kulingana na vyeo hivyo. Kwa hiyo wanafanya kazi ambazo wanatakana walipwe pesa za kisawasawa, lakini hawalipwi, na kwa hiyo haki zao za kufanya kazi zinaendelea kudhulumiwa. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Speaker, tunaona kwamba iwapo swala hili halitaweza kuchunguzwa kisawasawa, ina maana kwamba nchi nzima wanafunzi wataweza kupata hasara kwa sababu walimu wanaowasomesha hawana hamu au hawana motisha kuweza kuwasomesha. Kwa Mheshimiwa Speaker, naomba kamati hii ambayo itashughulikia swala hili, kamati ya elimu, iingilie ndani na isisimame Kitui peke yake, isimame Kenya nzima ili swala hili liweze kutatuliwa mwanzo na mwisho. Asante Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. I think that brings an end to that. Oh yes, Senator Mogeni.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to raise one point. Madam Speaker, you know, this issue of fair labor practices is not just a concept that we are plucking from the air. Madam Speaker, if you read Article 23(1) of the Constitution, it states in mandatory language that employees have a right to fair labor practices. Even, Madam Speaker, without going to the details, there is no way you can describe what Senator for Kitui has brought to this House as a fair labor practice, because you cannot keep somebody in an acting position, as I've had him read the statement, for the last 4 years. You cannot keep somebody in a position of employment where you don't remunerate that person for over 1 year. That certainly is unfair. And I think when the Committee of Labor retreats to consider this issue, they should pick out the issue of constitutional violations by Teacher Service Commission. And I don't know why we mistreat teachers, and they are the ones we entrust with our children from when they are 7 years old, some 5 years old, till they become early adults. We should be fair to teachers. And this problem is not just in Kitui, unfortunately, Madam Speaker. I was having a case of a teacher in Nyamira who has been waiting for promotion for the last 10 years. I mean, we are not being fair to our teachers. And I really hope that there will be a candid discussion between this committee and the officials at TSC so that we stop treating teachers in a very inhuman manner. I mean, we are all what we are because we went through some nurturing by teachers somewhere. And if there is anything, even the Madam Chair, you are a former teacher yourself. So we really must rein on TSC and remind them that we want to see change of attitude from TSC. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support.
Thank you, Senator. Finally, okay, Senator Moruma. Then I'll come to Senator Sakaja. Oh, Senator is a boy. This mask is hiding you.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kunipa fursa hii. Kusema la kweli Mheshimiwa Madam Speaker, nchi yetu ina shida sana kuhusu habari hii mambo ya walimu. Na siku ya leo ni uzuri kama nimepata fursa hii ili niweze kuchangia, na si kwa sababu ni ya Kitui peke yake. Hii ni Kenya nzima. Kwa sababu utakuta kama hawa walimu wanaosema Mheshimiwa ni seneta mwenzetu wa Kitui, Seneta Wambua, kwamba mtu anafanya acting kama anakuwa kama vile kuchukuliwa nafasi ya acting deputy teacher kwa miaka 4 au miaka 5. Mwalimu huyu kuna hardship allowance hawalipwi. Walimu hawa wanafanya juu chini kuhakikisha watoto wetu wanasoma vizuri. Madam Speaker, kwa nini walimu hawa wanabaguliwa katika nchi yetu hii ya Kenya? Na kwa nini walimu hawa hawapati hizo allowances zao kama vile kawaida sheria ambayo imewekwa katika TSC ya walimu? Kwangu Kwale, katika kaunti ya Kwale ndio wasi kabisa. Tafadhali kwa wewe Kitui, kuna walimu karibu 25 wameleta petition kwangu mimi kucomplain tatizo kama hili. Wamekuwa walimu deputy teacher kwa siku karibu zaidi ya miaka 10 mwingine. Hardship hawapati. Na kazi wanayofanya ni kubwa sana kwa watoto wetu wanapata elimu. Kwa hivyo Madam Speaker, mimi statement hii naunga mkono, na statement hii pale takapoenda katika ile tume ya katika committee ya education iweze kukaa chini, iweze kutafuta njia kwa haraka sana kuhakikisha kwamba hao walimu ambao statement hii tumesoma hapa waweze kupandishwa hii daraja mpaka kule juu. Kwa hivyo Madam Speaker, mimi naunga statement hii mkono. Asante.
Asante. Finally, Senator Sakaja. Please, let's speak again.
Madam Speaker, it's very rare for committee chairs to ask for work. I wish this statement was directed to my committee. Because, Madam Speaker, this is a labor issue. We have various institutions that think labor laws, Article 41 of the Constitution, the Employment Act, the Labor Relations Act, the TSC Act, and other different legislation are suggestions. They are not suggestions. Madam Speaker, I confirm that the concern that was brought by Senator Musuruve, I responded to it. I've written to the TSC on behalf of that teacher. But it should not be that for a teacher to get their rights, they need to know someone. They need to look for their senator. They need to look for the MP to write a letter. So, Madam Speaker, I really wish you direct this to my committee, because I really want to deal with those people. I am asking that you give me this, Madam Speaker. We have county governments that think statutory remittances are an option. We have people who treat our workers so badly, Madam Speaker, and think that they're doing them a favor, yet they're giving invaluable service to Kenyans. So, Madam Speaker, in as much as Senator Wambua wants this to go to education, please give me this one to the Labor Committee, and I will deliver and I will deal with it, Madam Speaker, within less than 2 weeks, Madam Speaker.
Welcome, Senator Chair of Education. Yeah, while you are away, there was a suggestion that the question of the statement from Senator Wambua goes to Labor, and the Chair of Labor is claiming it 100%, that it's not so much the TSC issue, but the employment issue. But before, while you settle down, let me ask Senator Wambua to make a statement on that variation that has been requested from the floor, and then we conclude, because we really must go to the business of the House also.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I will stand guided. Madam Speaker, there is no question that really this is a labor issue. It's a labor issue within the education sector. And Madam Speaker, what the principals from Kitui want is an expeditious resolution to their problem. And if the Labor chair is so enthusiastic about getting to the bottom of this matter, Madam Speaker, I'll be more than happy to request that we direct that statement to the Labour Committee. In any case, Madam Speaker, the chair of the Education Committee retreated from the chamber when the statement was being read. There may be no much interest in him dealing with this matter, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Chair Education, I hope you have read
May I
the
make
statement.
thank you, Madam Speaker. First of all, I was not actually retreating to run away from this particular statement. I was just going to receive a call. But I want to say, to me, I think it falls squarely within Education Committee. However, because it's a matter also to do with it's a labor issue, I would like to request that the two committees deal with it together, if it's possible.
Yeah, I know we have had problems with collaborations on the issue of quorum. The quorum gets lifted and then the members don't come in. It is true that in this statement, the first question is about confirmation of deputy principals by TSC. It touches on collective bargaining agreement that swings back to labor. Then the teachers have not been confirmed. Then the salaries of the affected teachers have never been adjusted, which goes back to the. If only the two chairs could confirm they can work together, it would be very helpful. But we need to agree on the lead committee. Yes, Senator Faria.
Madam Speaker, we have had joint committee meetings. That is a challenge, and the matter will fall through the cracks. I think just let us, in my view, this is a labor issue. Let's just take it to the labor committee.
Thank you very much. So be it. Let's take it to labor. And Senator Sakaja, we give you 14 days to get this one back to us, maximum. But please work with the Education Committee so that you are able to deal with the TSC issue.
Madam Speaker, I don't want to seem like I'm trying to take work
You are not taking
from the Education Committee.
When,
if you look at
Senator
our
Sakaja,
standing
please
orders.
order Senator Sakaja. When the Speaker has said it is not about you taking, it is about a considered opinion out of contributions from members. So it has nothing to do with you taking anything.
But Madam Speaker, when you spoke, you said whether the chairs can work together. I'm just responding to that. I have no problem.
No, I have made a ruling that it's in the hands of labor, but we would like to encourage education to work with you as friends of that committee, because we don't want the quorum hitches when we combine committees.
Madam Speaker, I accept you've made a ruling, but kindly just allow me to finish before you stop me, because you've not heard what I'm saying.
Because I don't want to hear after I have ruled.
I'm not debating your ruling.
So what is it that
Madam
you want
Speaker.
in addition?
Madam Speaker, I am affirming your ruling.
Okay.
And I'm assuring you, in less than 14 days, I'll have dealt with it, and Senator Chair Education will be invited to my meetings.
Thank you.
I will finish it very quickly.
Thank you. That is affirmation. Thank you. The next order. We go back to order number 5.
Order number 5, papers.
Leader of majority.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, Tuesday, 26th May, 2020. The Railway City Development Authority Order Legal Notice number 88 of 2020. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The next paper to be laid is by the chairperson, Auto Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You're ever so gracious. Madam Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of the House the report of the Ad hoc Committee on COVID-19 situation in Kenya, on the Pandemic Response and Management Bill, Senate Bills number 6 of 2020. Madam Speaker, we've taken a lot of concerns from Kenyans and we've proposed very significant amendments, and members will be very well informed if they go through this report, because ideally we're going to committee of the whole hours in the afternoon. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Yes, there's another paper from the same chair. Okay, so the second report will be in the afternoon. Next order.
Order number 8, the Pandemic Response and Management Bill, Senate Bills number 6 of 2020, second reading.
Honorable members, for the convenience of the House, I would like to defer order number 8, order number 9, order number 10. Yes, and order number 10. Next order.
Order number 11, the National Drought Management Authority Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 26 of 2019, second reading.
Honorable members, I think we have consulted on this bill also and would like to defer it to the afternoon. Next order.
Order number 12, the Reproductive Healthcare Bill, Senate Bills number 23 of 2019, second reading.
Senator Susan Gihika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 141-1 of the Senate Standing Orders, that the Reproductive Healthcare Bill 2019 be now read a second time. Madam Speaker, this bill seeks to ensure that each level of government prioritizes reproductive health by imposing obligations on them to ensure availability of reproductive healthcare services, including requiring them to provide adequate financial resources in their respective budgets to meet the obligations. Madam Speaker, Article 43(1)(a) of the Constitution of Kenya guarantees every person the right to the highest attainable standard of health, including the right to reproductive health care. Part 2 of the 4th schedule to the Constitution, as read together with the 1st schedule to the Health Act, further obligates county governments to manage health delivery at level 1 through level 5. Although Section 6 of the Health Act 2017 provides that every person has the right to reproductive health care, the following gaps have been observed. The roles of the county governments vis-a-vis those of the national government in regard to provision of reproductive health care are not well defined, a situation that has resulted in inadequate resourcing of reproductive health care by either level of government. The country is yet to establish a legislative framework to regulate assisted reproductive health services. 3, there is a need to protect the rights of persons of childbearing age by outlawing sterilization of persons without the prior consent of parents. 4, there is a need to establish a framework through which adolescents can receive age-appropriate reproductive health care services, and there is also a need to crystallize the gains of the executive order that led to issuing of free maternal health to ensure the continued gains in respect to the improved maternal mortality ratio. Madam Speaker, by virtue of Article 2 of the Constitution of Kenya, Kenya is obligated to ensure adherence to international treaties that she has assented to. Kenya assented to the Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights in 1972, and the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, in 1984. Both the conventions obligate the partner states to ensure physical and mental health to its citizens. access to specific education information to help ensure the health and well-being of families, and access to adequate health care facilities, including information, counseling, and services in family planning. Madam Speaker, Kenya has committed to the Agenda for Sustainable Development. In particular, Kenya has committed to Target 3.7 and under Goal 3, to good health and well-being. In this regard, Kenya has pledged to ensure that by 2030, she will ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health care services, including family planning, information, and education, and the integration of reproductive health into national strategies and programs. Kenya has also committed to Target 5.6 under Goal 5 to gender equality. In this regard, Kenya has pledged to ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights as agreed in accordance with the Program of Action of the International Conference on Population and Development and the Beijing Platform for Action and the outcome documents of their review conferences. Madam Speaker, to highlight on some of the provisions of the bill in Clause 4 sets out obligations of the national government to include provision of resources necessary for the provision of reproductive healthcare services in national referral hospitals, collaboration with county governments in expanding and strengthening the delivery of reproductive healthcare services in the respective counties, and formulation and implementation of a comprehensive national strategy and plan of action to promote the realization of the right to reproductive health care, including provision of adolescent-friendly reproductive health care services. Madam Speaker, under Clause 5, county governments are required to inter alia allocate the funds necessary for the provision of reproductive health care in the county health system, facilitate access to reproductive health services, undertake an assessment of the reproductive health needs and gaps in the county, and formulate and implement strategies to address them, formulate and implement county-specific strategies and programs to inform persons of reproductive age of their right to access reproductive health care services, provide age and development appropriate reproductive health care services in the county health system, and facilitate accessible, confidential, comprehensive, and non-judgmental reproductive health services, among others. Madam Speaker, Clause 6 and 7 of the bill seeks to ensure the national and county governments put in place mechanisms to facilitate access to family planning services, including counseling services. Madam Speaker, according to the 2014 Kenya Demographic and Health Survey, births per woman have continued to decrease from 8.1 births in 1977 to 3.9 births in 2014. According to various newspaper reports, infertility in Kenya is on the increase and is possibly one of the reasons for the reduced fertility rate. Moreover, some reports show that women who have been diagnosed with infertility face stigma and increased risk of gender-based violence, and for this reason, it is important for the country to have in place mechanisms to assist such women and families who would still like to have children. It is in this regard, Madam Speaker, that Clause 9 of the bill seeks to ensure collaboration between the national government and county government to provide affordable, accessible, acceptable, and quality-assisted reproduction services. In addition, the proposal seeks to ensure that the persons seeking assisted reproduction are given information regarding the various assisted reproduction methods available, the chances of success of the various options, the advantages, the disadvantages, the risk of the various options, the cost of treatment, and the facilities where the treatment options are available. Madam Speaker, in order to safeguard the parties who wish to undertake assisted reproduction, Clause 14 of the bill provides for a surrogate parenthood agreement. The section provides that the agreement must be in writing and include adequate provisions on the contact, care, upbringing, and general welfare of the child that is to be born. The child's position in the event of death of the commissioning parent, or if married, the death of one or both of the commissioning parents before the birth of the child, or separation or divorce of commissioning parents who were married before the child is born. Madam Speaker, further, in order to protect the interests of the child that results from assisted reproduction, the bill requires that a commissioning parent or parents, as the case may be, should have attained the age of 25 years and should not be above the age of 55 years. It further requires that the commissioning parent or parents be suitable to accept the parenthood of the child that is to be conceived and understands and accepts the legal consequences of the agreement and the rights and obligations arising thereof. Madam Speaker, the clause also sets out the surrogate mother should be above the age of 21 years of age and understands and accepts the legal consequences of the agreement and her rights and obligations thereof.
What is your point of order?
Singependa kumwingilia dadangu Kihika katika statement yake ambayo ni muhimu sana, lakini nilikuwa nataka pengine ungefanya uamuzi ya kwamba kuna maseneta wengi hivi sasa zaidi ya kama 7 ambao wako katika ukumbi ule uko nje, na hapa ndani tukiangalia kuna nafasi nyingi za maseneta ambao wanaweza kuja wakakaa hapa kwa upande huu na upande ule. Je, ni haki ikiwa wale maseneta wataketi kule na hali nafasi iko ndani ya chumba badala ya kwamba tunaenda na list kama mtu amechelewa, ikifika kama amechelewa hata kama ni nusu saa, Speaker, ingekuwa ubora badala wengine uketi kule na nafasi ziko hapa ndani ya chumba cha Senate, bunge la Senate, ingekuwa bora ikiwa wewe ungeweza kutoa uamuzi ukasema wale waliochelewa wataketi kule, wale ambao wako ndani wameshafika wako kwenye ukumbi waje waingie ndani ya chumba cha ndani ya bunge la Senate. Asante Speaker.
Asante
kama unaweza kunifanyia uamuzi ningeshukuru sana Speaker.
Asante Senator. Protocol, the health protocol that we have received denies us that opportunity because kama mtu ashakalia kiti mwingine hawezi kalia hiyo kiti for the day. So we are protecting ourselves. Ndio unaona saa ingine hata speaker anakaa hapa 2.5 hours vile nimekaa. So ni kwa sababu ya protocol. So tunajua wengine wameenda chai na wanarudi, wakiingia wakirudi. I want to encourage the members who are in the extension to be patient, and when they want to contribute, we will still ensure that they contribute. So the problem is the protocol. We don't want shared chairs. It doesn't allow for shared chairs. Once you have sat in a place, nobody else should sit on your chair, honorable senators, for that session. So for the morning session where you are, you sit there. The afternoon session where you sit there. if only members also who have been delayed in wherever could inform us early enough that they would not be in for the session, then we can be able to bring other members in. And once they come in, they don't go back to sit on the other chairs also. So it is just a protocol that we have from the Ministry of Health, which we must all obey. Senator Kiiga, please continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Madam Speaker, Clause 18 of the bill sets out the conditions under which the surrogate parenthood agreement may be terminated. Madam Speaker, Clause 21 of the bill seeks to ensure that the commissioning parent or parents are named as the parents of the child in the birth notification, in the birth certificate, and any other official document that requires the names of the parents of the child. Furthermore, the provisions seek to ensure that the child acquires the citizenship of the commissioning parent or parents. Clause 39 of the bill seeks to amend the Births and Deaths Registrations Act in order to ensure that children born through the surrogacy agreement are registered as children of the commissioning parent or parents. Madam Speaker, in July 2013, the government committed to fund a free maternal health care program. As a result of this, more women were able to access the services of skilled health providers, and this could be one of the reasons that the maternal mortality ratio decreased to 362 deaths per 100,000 live births in 2014 from 488 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births in 2008. In a bid to crystallize the gains of the free maternity program, the bill provides under Clause 24 that the national and county governments collaborate to provide free antenatal care, delivery services, and postpartum care in all health facilities in the national health system. Madam Speaker, a review of the concluding observations on the second periodic report of Kenya, adopted by the committee at its 50th session, that was on the 6th to the 31st May 2013, it shows that the Committee Against Torture raised concerns over the occurrences of forced and coerced sterilization of HIV-positive women and women with disability. The committee urged the state to strengthen its efforts to investigate allegations of involuntary sterilization or other harmful practices in connection with reproductive health, and identify and punish those involved in such practices. Further, the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women raised issue with the failure to protect the health, sexual, and reproductive rights of women with disabilities, including the practice of forced sterilization. The committee recommended that the state should protect the rights of women and girls with disabilities, ensuring that they have equal access to inter alia health care and other basic services. Protect women and girls with disabilities from all forms of violence and ensure that the perpetrators are prosecuted and adequately punished. Abolish the practice of sterilizing women and girls with disabilities by force, and provide remedies for the victims. See paragraph 46 and 7 on the Committee on Elimination of Discrimination Against Women in their concluding observations. In consideration of the issues raised by the committees, Clause 25 of the bill seeks to ensure that a sterilization procedure is not carried out without a written consent from the patient. A health professional who carries out a sterilization in contravention with the provisions of the bill shall be guilty of an offense and be liable to 5 years imprisonment or a fine of 2 million shillings or both. Madam Speaker, Clause 28 of the bill states that before termination of a pregnancy under the Act, informed consent must be sought from the pregnant woman, the guardian of a minor who is pregnant, or the person with mental illness, or a supporter or representative of the person with mental illness, where the person with mental illness is not able to give consent. Madam Speaker, Clause 32 of the bill seeks to ensure that the national government collaborate with county governments to ensure that adolescents have access to adolescent-friendly reproductive health care services that should be age appropriate. The clause lists adolescent-friendly reproductive health services to include, among other things, age-appropriate mentorship, spiritual and moral guidance, counseling on abstinence, and safe abortion and sexually transmitted infections, vocational training, and training in livelihood and life skills. Further, Madam Speaker, Clause 33 of the bill seeks to ensure that the health professional obtains parental consent for adolescents aged below 18 years before giving adolescent-friendly reproductive health services. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to move that the Reproductive Health Care Bill 2019 be now read a second time and call on Senator Dr. Musuruve to second. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Musuruve. Mic is off. Please push. Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance to second this bill that has been brought to the floor of this House by Senator Kihika. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that this bill is a bill that is really handy at a time like this. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, most of the time when you read newspapers, you'll find there are issues to do with women. There are issues to do with young girls. Sometimes young girls have been impregnated, adolescents have been impregnated. Sometimes even children have been thrown in toilets. Last week I was checking on the media, there's a girl who had, there's a mother who had actually thrown her baby into a pit latrine. And there are times also we read in the newspaper that children have been stolen from hospitals, and sometimes even medics have colluded for such heinous arrangements. But Honorable Speaker, and sometimes even we've read in newspapers cases, real cases where you find husband and wife are parting simply because they don't have a child. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, these issues are being addressed by this bill, because this bill comes in handily to correct such issues that happen each and every day. And I want to congratulate Senator Kihika for coming up with such a noble bill that is going to minimize issues where families are separating because they don't have children, issues where adolescents are, being cajoled into becoming pregnant, and then they don't know what to do. Sometimes they even throw their children away out of adolescent lack of knowledge. And it is a bill that is coming in handily. If this bill can be implemented, we are going to reduce such cases. We are going to reduce also cases where you find even sometimes women with disabilities, sometimes they're raped. They get, children without their consent, and they don't know where to go. This bill is addressing such issues. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, in 2001, Kenya signed, among other national, African nations, they signed the Abuja Declaration of 2001, where African governments agreed that they're going to put aside 15% of the national revenue into health in order to improve health. So I want to say that Kenya actually is a signatory, and it is mandated by international laws to ensure that they actually put into practice the Abuja Declaration. So I want to say that this bill comes in handily to mandate Kenya to do that, because it also puts obligations for the county governments and the national governments. So what Kenya signed in Abuja Declaration 2001 will cascade to the county governments, because county governments have also been mandated by this bill to ensure that they are actually taking reproductive health care as an issue of great concern. And I want to say also, Honorable Speaker, that this bill also comes in handily to put effect to Article 43(1)(a) of the Constitution, where we are saying that everyone has a right to the highest attainable standards of health. So if this bill is implemented, we are going to defend our Constitution. If we defend our Constitution, then it means that service will be delivered to everyone, even in the counties. And that is our mandate as a Senate. Now, I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that the objects of this bill are very clear, that, to provide for the right to reproductive health care, to the highest standards of reproductive health care, provide right to make decisions regarding reproductive health care, and for connected purposes. I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that when it comes to reproductive health care, not many people, especially young girls, are aware about their reproductive systems. They do not really know, they do not understand themselves. Sometimes they get into problems because they do not know that they have a right to reproductive health care. But I want to say this bill is actually seeking to reduce mortality and mobility rates in the country. If this bill takes effect, then we are going to have very little of such cases where parents are, women are giving birth, in the end they end up dying, or maybe women are giving birth and they give birth sometimes to children who are severely, severely disabled, as in they cannot even survive outside of the womb. Or a situation where a mother gives birth, and in the process of giving birth, a mother finds herself, a mother dies simply because of the pregnancy. So if this bill is followed to the latter, we are going to avoid such scenarios. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that the obligation of the national government comes in handily. And when it comes to the national government, it really needs to support this bill. It really needs to support health, because health is one of the big four, and we are actually supporting the big four. That is the president's agenda. And if we are to support the president's agenda, we cannot support without resources. Resources have to be set aside. Resources have to be taken to the county. In as much as we are talking about, the bill talks about, having referral hospitals for maternal health care. Now, this maternal health care needs to cascade also to the counties, such that health care referral hospitals should also be in the counties. So I want to say that this bill is important, and it is a bill that we have to ensure that it sees the light of the day. And even according to the bill comes out clearly to say that the national government should engage in research. And not only the national government, even the county government needs to engage in research. And research is very important. There is need for research to find out why, for instance, mothers die when they're giving birth, why, for instance, adolescents are, getting expectant. The why questions, those gap areas can only be met or filled with research, because research is always ongoing, and research sees the gap areas and sees how can we remedy the problem that is there. And even as we are talking about reproductive health, we are talking about research and innovative ways, there is need to work also with universities and university constituents in the area of research. Students can also be funded. The government needs to fund universities to do research in this area, so that when carrying out a research, it will help in arresting the gap areas that are there. So there's need for funding in this particular area. And when you're talking of the county government, there's need for the county government also, according to this bill, to sensitize families, families about family planning, because there are some people who may not be aware about family planning. And in the process of sensitizing on family planning, it means that it will help also in reducing population in the country. And the county government needs to set money aside. They cannot just sensitize without money. They cannot just intervene without money. The county government needs to put money aside in its annual budget for the purpose of, ensuring maternal health care, for the purpose of ensuring that they're creating awareness on maternal health care. And there's also need to mobilize resources. When you're talking of healthcare, healthcare is important, because without, a healthy citizen, we cannot be productive. Everybody needs to be productive in order to move on as a country. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that the role that women play in this country, just from an early age when they are girls, up to even adolescent and to womanhood, it is a role that cannot just be ignored. So there's need to ensure that they're being taken care of from an early age, adolescent stage, and
And Senator Musuruve, you have a balance of 10 minutes to continue seconding when we come back in the afternoon.